May the Yuta glaze continue. What's up, guys? I'm Okkotsu here, and here we're going to do, I suppose it is a breakdown. I'm about to say a rating, but technically no, this is just a breakdown of how well Yuta Okkotsu, the second strongest sorcerer of the modern day, did against the overwhelming, the mighty, the thick, the throbbing, the juicy strongest sorcerer of all time, the King of Curses. We're going to be rating his performance in his original body, because if I were to include Gota, it would drop off like the number I'm gonna give him versus the number I would have to give him if I rated him as Gota, performance-wise. Two entirely, horrifically different things. So I'm gonna do those as separate videos, don't mind me. But let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Editing me, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a... Wait! Hey! Pencil here, fun fact, I do happen to have it on me, and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, Yuta Okkotsu, in his original body, genuinely cooked up a 55-star meal. Like, legitimately, as a person who has a couple critiques for Yuta as a character, and a couple critiques for how Gege wrote the character, and I was like, I feel like you nerfed him too much, Gege, you should have unnerfed him. But still, regardless of how I feel about that, this man, right here, I'm going to say it, which kind of spoils the other videos, but I'm going to say it. He has the second best performance against Sukuna. No, yeah, I'd say second best, once again, because I got to take the highs and the lows with Yuji. Unfortunately, Yuji, unlike Yuta, never hopped bodies. If I were doing... Maybe I'll do that. It depends. When I do the breakdown for Yuji, do you want pre-awakening Yuji and post-awakening Yuji, or you just want full Shinjuku Yuji? Because once again, I talked about highs and lows with Gota, I gotta talk about highs and lows with Yuji. But I think if I just take Gota's run as a separate thing from Yuta's run, here's the second best. Better than Kashimo, better than Monkey, better than Miguel, better than LaRue, better than literally everybody else. This man moved crazy. But let me talk about why. First things first, he only fights for about 3 chapters. Like, straight up 3 whole chapters of genuine, real-life, true-to-form boxing with the King of Curses. And when he does that, that man whips up a scrumdiddlyumptious meal. He's cooking for breakfast, lunch, dinner. He's feeding the entire family. I'm telling you. Because here's the thing, right? What Yuta does in terms of these 3 chapters nearly eclipses... Now, honestly, because of how well he set up, I dare say it eclipses even the contributions of multiple other characters combined. First things first, he's kind of the first guy since Gojo to, actually make Sukuna think a little bit and forcefully defend himself. Like, Yuji technically made Sukuna defend himself. He had the block, but, Sukuna pulls out a whole new technique in order to block Yuta. He literally starts activating dismantles in the palm of his hand in order to make sure that Yuta's blade doesn't do any damage. So, one, that shows that Sukuna already believes, alright, you something devious, you something dangerous. For Hikaruma, he was bobbing and weaving. For Kusakabe, he was bobbing and weaving. Choso, he was donutting. For Yuji, he was dodging, bobbing, and weaving and cleaving. But for Yuta, he immediately goes into this, only to get faked out when Yuta lets go of the sword. Rika comes in, and he gets belly punched. The belly punch is mean. The belly punch is clean. The belly punch is wild. Because notably, while Yuta does take a little bit of damage, presumably from Sukuna releasing some slashes, not only does he pretty well tank these dismantles, as Rika does get right hooked and has her punch blocked with the lower right, but Sukuna, for the first time, I think, since he incarnates, Higuruma cuts off a bit of his hair. But I think this is the first time Sukuna takes any noticeable damage or grunts. Notably, this is in chapter 249. Satoru Gojo died. That man fell upwards of 13 chapters ago at the time of this chapter, and Yuta's the first one to do damage with a regular punch. That's how I should have known the man was about to start cooking a scrumdiddlyumptious 12 out of 10 meal. Because the first hit does this. Makes him... And then Yuta re-grabs the blade, forces Sukuna to duck, dodging. Once again, showing that Yuta's AP is kind of up there, in the sense that Sukuna doesn't just... and let it bounce off him. Now, he actually dodges Yuta's swing. Rika comes in for the wombo combo of the century with a whole vending machine, or radiator, or heater. I'm not sure where she got this from. But regardless, she pulls it out, Sukuna cleaves it, and crazy thing, I'm still not fully sure on how to interpret this panel. I'm not sure if this is meant to be a cleave attempt, or a dismantle attempt. Considering it looks like the dismantle nets, I'm assuming this was a dismantle attempt, but Yuta dodges. He weaves behind Sukuna, hits the cage 2 reversal, forces Sukuna to block both him and Rika at the same time, and he's low-key putting the mixes on Sukuna. Is it effective? Not necessarily. After that first punch, he doesn't do any damage in this first interaction, but still, this is the first time Sukuna seemed even remotely pressed since his incarnation. And we see Yuta taking damage, but he's immediately like, man, this damage is too much. What if my domain expanded? And proceeded to activate his domain expansion. Authentic, true, mutual love. Now, if you thought Yuta was cooking already, if you thought the meal was actually looking a little bit delicious initially, when I tell you, you've seen nothing yet, my friend. Because the moment he activates this domain, he immediately grabs the first katana, rails back, and does the first bit of real, actual damage to the Sukuna. I know Yuji did the soul barrier damage, and I will give Yuji his due credit for that, but in terms of the first person to put actual pause on Sukuna, and make him realize, oh wait, I'm not actually invincible in this form, to something other than the Executioner's Blade, it's Yuta Okkotsu with this thin icebreaker straight to the dome. The blade shatters, he looks upon, and we see the King of Curses with a gash on his face. So already, he's cooking. He's doing damage. He's dodging attacks. He's bobbing and weaving. He's face-taking attacks. He's proven Himothy status. But then we find out that Yuta Okkotsu didn't just cook a 5-star meal. He cooked a 6-star meal. Because guess who else is here? Guess who else has shown up? Guess who else has decided to hop into this little slobber knocker? Yuji Itadori. Yuji Itadori is given a role inside the domain. But wait a minute. A role inside the domain expansion? Does that mean? Yes! Yuta Okkotsu has refined his domain to the point where he can let other entities that are not directly tied to him in his domain without any fear of them being affected by his sure hit. Which we know is active because Sukuna immediately had to activate Hollow Wicker Basket. So Yuta has shown AP enough to damage Sukuna, durability enough to tank some of Sukuna's attacks, the speed in order to react to some of Sukuna's attacks, and also provided a domain battlefield where Yuji Itadori will actually be allowed to cook. Will the meal be scrumptious? Ooh, dare I tell you? It'll feed the family for weeks. But with that being the case, we cut to chapter 250, where Yuta Okkotsu says, this meal, I don't think it's good enough yet. Allow me to start serving you the entrees. And they immediately start jumping Sukuna. Sukuna, who's forced to hold Hollow Wicker Basket, by the way. Why is he forced to hold Hollow Wicker Basket? Oh yeah, because Yuta Okkotsu said, hey, buddy, buckaroo, pal, I think it'd be pretty neat. It'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty swagalicious if you, just couldn't attack or fight traditionally, because we're not going to allow you to do that, buckaroo. And he proceeds to basically, I don't want to, do I say it? Do I say? He low-key carries Yuji throughout this entire encounter. Him and Rika both. Once again, I kind of count Yuta and Rika as basically one character, and for all intents and purposes, Yuta just slides Yuji on the back. He might as well just be a second Rika, because let's look at who does numbers. With the most random of techniques, by the way. This man, Yuta Okkotsu, gets his whole domain revealed and explained, and then he sends out Drew Shikigami technique. Who was expecting damage on Ryomen Sukuna from Drew Shikigami technique? Raise your hand. I know you're not raising it, because one, that'd be weird because you're watching the video, and two, because no one was. But what does Yuta Okkotsu do? He sends out Drew Shikigami technique and actually manages to make the King of Curses do a little jiggle, do a little bleed as Yuji hits him with the 2-piece from behind. That man is forced to dodge Rika, showing that he's a little bit worried about what the Queen can do, and then his back gets slashed open. Involio barrier on the Shikigami trajectory. Yuta Okkotsu, once again, showing that he's doing real actual damage to Sukuna, slashes him up with Drew Shikigami technique. His Shikigami, what? That's crazy, look at these numbers. And only to drop down from the heavens, pulling a little Satoru Gojo impression, and immediately being like, hey, Sukuna, wouldn't it be cool if I just tugged at the sky? And he proceeds to tug at the sky, and he proceeds to set Sukuna up for the craziest mix-up this side of the Mississippi. Because the moment Sukuna's like, I'll deal with you, Yuta Okkotsu, allow me to look at these hands, Rika throws Yuji like a football. As Sukuna's forced to look on that, he immediately gets put in the 50-50 scenario. But of course, since Sukuna's a pro fighting game player, he blocks both attacks at the same time. But while Yuji goes in to capitalize on his soul-damaging nature, because remember, every single hit that Yuji does is potent, even if it's not potent at all in terms of damage, we see Sukuna doesn't even focus on him. None of his eyes are trained on Yuji, because Yuji's not the threat here. Who's the threat? Mr. Yuta Okkotsu, who's out here slashing, tearing at Sukuna, forcing him to once again use his technique in order to ward off Yuta's hits. And on top of that, when Sukuna's like, fine, brat, you want to have some attention? He immediately goes to cleave Yuji. Who clutches up for Yuta? No one else but Yuta. Who clutches up for Yuji, though? That's also Yuta. Because he hits him with the, don't move. Sukuna's like, oh, my cheeks, they're glued together. And he proceeds to get smacked in the face with another thin icebreaker, saving Yuji's life. And we know, as an actual factual, indubitably and undeniably, as an actual factual, if that cleave had actually gone off, Yuji would have been out of commission for a little bit. He was struggling. That boy was going through it. So the fact that Yuta Okkotsu comes in, clutches up with the cursed speech into the thin icebreaker wombo combo, it's clean. He's hooking. And you see, the hooking never stops. Rika comes in for the two-piece wombo combo, slamming him right into a building, only to body slam him right back down through the concrete. Yuta and Yuji run up. And once again, I've been praising Yuta for his output. He's doing damage to Sukuna with curse techniques I never thought he'd use. He's doing damage to Sukuna with curse techniques I expected him to use. He's tanking attacks. But speaking of tanking attacks, this man Yuta is like, hold on a second. I'm not done cooking yet. And Sukuna's like, hey, y'all remember this thing I used to waffle iron Kashimo? And they're like, oh yeah, that's a little light. Some light. They eat it. Both of them, Yuji and Yuta. Yuji has an excuse. Not only is he super duper bulky and strong in his own right, but also he's soaked in Sukuna's cursed energy. So essentially, he's getting softened versions of these long-range dismantles. But Yuta, he may be domain buffed, but he's still eating them. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner while his Shikigami / curse / whatever dives in and goes for the hit on Sukuna, forcing Sukuna to kick and destroy the Shikigami's arm, only for both Yuta and Yuji to be like, that hurt a little bit, but you ain't really hurt us for real. Let us lock back in real quick. And they lock back in real quick. And Yuta's even honest. He explains that they cheated. But with it being the case, we see both are like, okay, we're still doing good. We're alive and breathing. We're moving and jeeving. And they immediately lunge back in. Now, this is immediately a three-piece, but look who goes for the main big damage. Once again, we're talking about big damage. We're talking about rating the performance against Sukuna. And in terms of big, juicy, scrumdiddlyumptious damage, we gotta get a look at Yuta Okkotsu here. Because Rika's not really doing too much. Yuti's not really doing too much. But what does Yuta do? Grabs a katana, gets that future sight on deck, tags Sukuna through his guard. Mainly because two of his arms were being taken up by Hell Worker Basket and two more were being taken up by Yuji and Rika. But still, he gets in, sees the opportunity, weaves Sukuna with the precognition, makes Sukuna realize, wait a second, was that precognition? Was this boy cooking? Only for Yuji to have to come in, palm strike, and Yuta to immediately swing and realize, I smell something delicious in this kitchen. This 5-star meal is only going to get better. And proceeds to pull out a katana, use sky manipulation, fake out Sukuna, drag space, stab through space itself, force Sukuna to block it with his technique. Remember, once again, he's grabbing these blades, not barehanded, using his technique, and then proceeds to activate Sukuna's own tech on him through his technique, cleaving through everything Sukuna has to offer. Doing, once again, some more serious damage, marring Sukuna's face. He's got it. The wrist is whipping. It's whipping amazingly. It's whipping deliciously. Dare I say, it's whipping so good, it's got me sweating. The kitchen's a little bit too hot. Yuta, please, maybe you should calm down on cooking a little bit too, bro. You're going to make Satoru Gojo feel a little bit embarrassed, considering you're doing this well against Heian-era Sukuna. Or at least Heian-form Sukuna. But Yuta Okkotsu refuses to stop cooking. Why? Because he said, dog, y'all ordered a meal from me, Yuta Okkotsu. I've got to cook at least a little bit more, calm a little bit more. He reveals that he is the one who took the final finger away from Ryomen Sukuna, nibbled on that bad boy and got it all for himself. There's still 20 finger Sukuna because of the mummy, but still, he nibbled on that bad boy. He ate that thing down. Proceeded to allow Yuji to come in for the wombo punch to weaken that soul a bit more. Yuta palm strikes Sukuna's belly mouth again. Once again, he's got some sort of, Yuta's a little freaky. I'll talk about that in a separate video. Yuta's a little freaky, but it don't matter, because regardless, he goes in for the palm strike, does more damage to Sukuna, once again, makes the bloody, belly mouth spit up more blood. He's going crazy. Allows Yuji for the next two-piece, only for Yuji to get cleaved again, get torn apart, and Yuji, you okay, buddy? He spits in Sukuna's face, and Yuta's like, thanks, bro. Why are you bang! Hits Sukuna with the cleanest uppercut this side of the Mississippi. It's juicy, it's clean, it's delicious, and it's scrumdiddlyumptious. He uppercuts Sukuna, forcing him to drop Yuji and not completely cleave Yuji to pieces. Once again, Yuta Okkotsu stepping in to save the protagonist of the current series. Like, he's not a retired MC coming back to cook a little bit extra for a narrative that ain't even his no more. And we see Yuji, I need a heal. Only for Yuta to guide Rika to pick up Sukuna to throw into a Yuji Manji kick. Once again, the combos are going crazy. All because Yuta Okkotsu is the one facilitating these combos. He's setting up, he's guiding, he's leading. And then we see Yuta Okkotsu realize, Rutro, Spaghetti-O, he's about to world-cutting slash us. That seems dangerous, devious, diabolical. What does he do? Instantly, Rika locks Sukuna down. Yuji locks Sukuna down. And what does Yuta do? He doesn't pick up a sword. He doesn't summon a new one. He doesn't do anything. He straight lunges in with his bare hand, dives it straight into Sukuna's stomach mouth, and tears out his tongue. Bro said, chant with this. Chant with this, as he proceeds to get cleaved to the dome, only to walk it right off. Run it right off. What? This is Yuta Okkotsu. This is a 5-star meal. This is crazy damage. He just locked off lower tummy world slash. But don't worry, he's not going to stop there, because if there's one thing Yuta Okkotsu refuses to do until he incarnates in the body of Satoru Gojo, is stop cooking. So I'm legit sweating. But with that being the case, we see this man get knocked back, realize, oh, we're chilling. We're cooking. And then he proceeds to run in, moving mad devious, and slice out. I don't know why it's loading like this, but he slices out it's Sukuna's top mouth too. He put a sword in there and said, I'm not doing that. But he put a sword in there and said, give me that tongue, boy. I will not let you chant to save your life. And he proceeded to not let Sukuna chant to save his life. So he not only took out the tongue mouth, he also took out the mouth. Head mouth, I guess. But regardless, he took out both. He said no slashes, no dismantles, no special slash, nothing. He said, that's all me. I'm the only one wielding cleave and dismantle around here. Only for broski to get dismantled and walk it off again. Don't get me wrong. We'll see other characters get hit with cleave and walk. We'll see other characters get hit with dismantle and walk. But I'm talking about that perfect balance. Yuta's got that perfect defense and that perfect offense. He's cooking. And we see him lunging again. We see him get more devious again. We see him double down on the deviousness and lunge back in to do even more damage. Yuji does set him up clean, but what does Yuta do? Tear off the arm. Bro says, hold on, I need to make sure you really can't do it. He tore off one of Heian Body Sukuna's arms. Yo, what's the damage we're totaling? 2 bleeding belly mouth punches, a tear out of the tongue, a tear out of the upper tongue, and the removal of an arm after slicing his face open? Yuta! Who asked you to cook so much? Why is the meal so delicious? I'm literally gonna feed my family for months off this performance alone. The cooking is extravagant. It is insane. And we see the cooking must never end. According to Yuta Okkotsu, there are 2 laws in the universe. Cook and cook harder. Because he proceeds to lunge in. And then the moment he has the opening, the moment Sukuna can no longer defend himself because Hollow Wicker Basket is no longer defensible, boom! He hits the hits the max output Jacob's Ladder, burns Sukuna, makes him nice and crispy, delicious, and proceeds to allow Yuji to set up for the perfect strat. Slide up in there, get up in Sukuna's soul guts, and prepare to get to cooking. Save Megumi Fushiguro. Save the entire Soul Society, Yuji Tadori and Megumi Fushiguro. But guess what? While Itadori and Okkotsu's calculations weren't wrong regarding the structure of the soul, when it came to the will to live, Megumi Fushiguro's soul had already given up. So Yuta didn't fumble. Yuji didn't fumble. He was like a little rough. He did have to get saved by Yuta a bunch of times, but he didn't fumble. But unfortunately, Megumi Fushiguro did. And that led to our glorious king, our amazing second strongest of the modern day, the new strongest of the modern day, if he's still alive, our GOAT getting bisected. It's unfortunate, but it be like that when it be like that, especially when it be like that. But guess what? It don't be like that when it be like that, especially when it be like that, because Yuta Okkotsu even predicted this and proceeded to set up for the heavenly restricted ghost of the Zenin to come in and cook up an extravagant meal herself. As it was all a ploy by the second strongest of today to lower the guard of the strongest in all of history and of all time, for the ghost of the Zenin who broke away from cursed energy. A surprise attack against an opponent certain of victory. And then, He was carted off by Rika in order to set up for Goda, who we will be covering in another video. So, with that being the case, with all the extravagant glaze I gave Yuta Okkotsu, what is, out of 10, my rating? 10 out of 10. Yeah, 10 out of 10. I guess you could say 9? Because technically, I guess you would say Gojo's performance is... Yeah, you know, I'll give it 9 because Gojo's has to be a 10. It has to be a 10. Yuta is the second best. Just like he's the second strongest in modern day, he is the second best. So I will have to give him a 9 out of 10. Because ultimately, his damage does fall short of what Satoru Gojo did in terms of brain damage and everything, but still, in terms of raw numbers and the amount of damage he did and the amount of nerfing he either assisted with or did to this Sukuna, I have to give him a 9 out of 10. Darn near a 10 out of 10, because he did everything right. And even when something went wrong, Megumi Fushiguro fumbling the bag, he refused to let that get to him and still set up for Homegirl. That's mad respect on a boy who's not even supposed to be here. This ain't even his plot, bro. What is he doing cooking so much? It doesn't matter. He doesn't care if it's his plot or not. He said he's gonna show up, he's gonna show out, and he's gonna flex on us. And Yuta Okkotsu most certainly got to be flexing. I gotta give him that smooth 9 out of 10, but what do you guys think? Do you think Yuta Okkotsu's performance on my end is overrating him? Do you think he actually did worse? Or do you think he did even better? Do you think he should get a 10 out of 10 even with Satoru Gojo? Maybe Satoru Gojo should get an 11 out of 10, kind of breaking the rating system, just like Satoru Gojo himself kind of breaks the rating system? Please let me know all of that and more in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave blessed beatdown. Blessed, as in what Yutas are typically called the blessed sorcerer. Beat down, as in like, make you beat somebody down. In the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you download the notification bell so you not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a page down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks will include the live reaction to the very next chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, ad-free variations of all my videos, and if you become a $25 patron or a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, I do have a link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below. You can drop 5 beans for a short video, 25 beans for a long video, or any beans at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Once again, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members: Zera, Greyhound, Eternal Flame, NMA, Real Rare, Redwolf 4765, Paris Arnold, Astro, and Brandon Payne. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 patrons: Zombie Hunter, Sean, Midnight Lord 21, King, Meliodas, Kevin, Encarnacion, Josh Brown, and A+A. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $7 members: Autumn, Mornings, Lazo, and Fine. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $10 members: Robbie Uchiha, Jay Warrior, and AZ Void. And I'd like to give a big ol' thank you to our $10 patrons: Michael Williamson, Joaquin Munoz, and Idem Okami. And I'd like to give a final gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.